The other day, somebody asked me how you drive a two-speed axle. First, I thought I'd show you what a two-speed axle is. That's a two-speed axle. That's the diaphragm that operates the two-speed axle. Uses engine vacuum to make that happen. Has a switch inside on the gear shifter. This is a 1964 Chevrolet C60. It has a 292 inline 6-cylinder gasoline motor. And let's see if we can make a video here. Alright, this is a 4-speed transmission, and this is the switch right here for the 2-speed axle. So we've got it in low, which is pushed in. We'll put our transmission in first gear. Let on the clutch, now we're rolling. You gotta wind it up. I gotta pull out on the axle switch. And it actually went ahead and jumped into second right there because I didn't have enough throttle on it. The 2-speed axle diaphragm got enough vacuum, it went ahead and shifted into second. It takes me longer to describe what's going on than it would to actually drive the thing. So now we are now in high first. I'm going to pull it down into second and go to low on the axle. You shift the transmission first, then the axle. Now I'm in low second. I pull out on the axle. We're now in high second. We're going to go up into low third. Now we're going to go to high third. Now to shift the axle, whenever you go to high, you pull out on the axle before you actually make the shift. All I'm doing is just hitting the clutch, and that vacuum signal is operating the diaphragm to actually shift the axle. Now whenever I go from a high to low on the axle, shift the transmission first, and then the axle. Now we're in fourth gear low, we're going to go to fourth gear high. And you may wonder what in the world is the purpose of this. This truck only has a little inline 6-cylinder motor, but it's got a 26,000 pound plate. You know, modern trucks, shoot, you can get a 400 horsepower diesel with 800 foot-pounds of torque that'd tow the whole world. But they didn't have that stuff back in the 60s. Not readily available in smaller vehicles. Say smaller, it's a relatively small vehicle. You know what? I think the biggest motor you could buy in one of these trucks was a 409 V8, which, granted, it's a good-sized motor, but it is absolutely nothing compared to what you've got today. So how they overcame the lack of horsepower was through gearing. You have these ultra-low gear sets in these trucks that they're not highway trucks. Now granted, they travel all over the country with these trucks back in the day, but you know, they're happy running 55, but at 65 they're kind of strained. They're great for around the farm. You know, this was the truck that they hauled a lot of grain out of the river bottoms with this truck whenever I was a kid and well before my day. But as well, they also hauled a lot of cattle with this truck throughout the United States. I'm going to show you here, you don't necessarily need to use the 2-speed axle if you don't need the extra lugging power. I've got a pretty light load on today. I'd say I've only got about 2,000 pounds on. And I put it in low, getting ready to cross the highway here. And I'm just going to leave it in low and make my way across the highway as soon as the traffic clears. It's a relatively maintenance-free system. Every once in a while you might have to replace that diaphragm that I showed you. But that's really about it. I don't think we've ever had one fail. Okay, things are starting to clear up here. So we're gonna let out on the clutch. Here we go. There, I'm now in fourth gear. I stayed in low the whole time. Now we're gonna go into high. And you can leave it in high if you want to, but it's just easier to drive in low. But anyway, that is my video on how you drive a 2-speed axle.